Why these trucking incidents have hit nerves. Now, before I even get into the headline, I want to just remind you for weeks now, right here on this channel, we've been digging into the cheap labor era that's reshaping this country. We've been exposing the loopholes, the shortcuts, and the lowered standards, the rise of inexperienced or unvetted drivers, and the companies chasing profits at the expense of you and me. And let me tell you, this story I'm about to cover tonight really hits the docks. A semi truck driver going down the road raging, firing shots at a car carrying a toddler. Not an exaggeration. It's an actual story. It's not an embellishment. But, folks, just let me dive into one thing prior to that. I want to show you something. There's a quick clip from Twitter. It's about a female fed up with strange, unhinged replies that people keep leaving under her posts. You can hear in her voice when I play it the frustration and disappointment. They're angry about the words being used, and certain words are really triggering them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the secret behind social media that very few people talk about. Check this clip out.
Okay, please totally disregard the fact that I look like absolute shit right now. But I just want to leave a quick warning that if you ever comment a dick picture under any of my posts, you are going to not only have your reply hidden, but you are also going to be blocked. You are not allowed to sexualize me, make sexual comments towards or about me. I'm going to farm you for content, but then I'm going to block you.
The reason I bring all this up is people don't remember what it is you've said. They remember how you made them feel. And I don't care what you say. A lot of people can either turn something into a painful experience or an absolute laugh. And I hope this intro really kind of aimed at having a good laugh. Because I'll tell you something. The words used wasn't an issue, but what we did with the words, that kind of made your day. Speaking of feelings and what you get from this broadcast, stick around because this story and a couple of others also in the same vein are aimed at one goal, and that is to make trucking great again. So do me a favor, go down below, hit that like button, and let's get into our story. This straight from an official report out of Wyoming, Carbon County, Wyoming, to be exact. A news story about one Scott Schaefer apparently heading on Interstate 80 when they encountered a big rig driven by the gentleman pictured to my right. He saw the tractor trailer driving erratically and nearly run his wife's SUV, also in the same lane of travel, off of the roadway. When Scott apparently tried to get around the rig to avoid a further conflict, it was said the individual driving the rig took out a handgun and started opening fire on the minivan, both of which got out of the way and pulled off an exit ramp close by. The rig continued on, never stopped, observed a bullet hole in the side of the car. Sadly, no one was injured, but they later forwarded the information to the police. The information led to the capture of the individual pictured here. This wasn't just a crime. This was about a moment a family was left haunted on an open highway. A mother, a father, a child trapped in a moving nightmare with an 80,000-pound vehicle and a reckless driver doing God knows what. I don't care who you are, that makes you feel some way. One act changes how America feels about truckers. Just hearing about this, you've got to feel some way. I know it seems like we're hearing about these stories left, right, and practically every Sunday. And that's why stories like this hit nerves so deep, so fast, so emotionally. Because Folks, people don't break down the physics of a bullet. They don't research the make of the truck. They don't study the court documents. They feel something: fear, anger, betrayal. And that reaction arrives long after the logic ever gets a chance to take the wheel. Now, I want to bring you into this conversation. How does this story, the way it's reported here, and you can read it, the links down below, how does it make you feel? Does it change how you think the public looks at us and the job we do? Does it change how you look at the industry yourself? So let me tell you something. I don't know about you, but I'm getting rather sick and tired of hearing about this. We've had a problem for years now. A problem everybody said, oh, we'll fix tomorrow. A problem that everybody said is somebody else's fault. A problem that someone says but never fixes. We've got a culture of practically 600,000 people in this industry that view this industry differently than we do. 3.5 million, last I checked, drivers, and practically a third of them don't give a damn whether this industry survives, dies, or does anything right. I don't know about you, but that makes me feel like crap. And I think it's about high time that feeling spreads enough to get people motivated to get something done. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not looking at the person in this camera and saying it's your fault. I am just saying it's about time we take back the streets of this country. Do me the dubious honor, go down below, hit the subscribe button, and tell your friends and neighbors about Truckin City. Because this next story, in fact, is the very reason I think the emotions hit so hard, because the story we've already heard about, the story that was already in the news, cycling through public consciousness all over again. Talking about a case of a foreign-born truck driver who was convicted of vehicular manslaughter and now months later finds himself back in the headlines after being taken into ICE custody. Let's lay this out clearly so the context really hits home. It was a fatal wreck, lives lost, families shattered, communities grieving. A courtroom battle came and went, a sentence was handed down, but here's what brought this moment to us in the first place. According to reports out of West Virginia, this driver operating a commercial motor vehicle on a narrow mountain stretch crossed the center line and slammed head on into an oncoming vehicle, killing the victim instantly. Investigators later determined his actions behind the wheel weren't just careless, they were criminally reckless. Crash tore a family apart, triggered a months long legal battle, and left an entire community grappling with the loss should never have happened. Because now immigration authorities are involved. Because the case wasn't over. It was just waiting in the shadows for the next update. When a tragedy cycles back like this, it does something powerful. It reopens emotional wounds and forces people to feel things they worked hard to bury. See, I don't bring these stories up just for the random idea that we need to revisit old wounds. I don't do this. I don't do this to be callous and reckless. I do this to point out the obvious. People remember how you make them feel. I want people to feel like they're powerful, not powerless. My last 6 videos have been on the idea that we need to rid ourselves of cheap labor. We need to rid ourselves of the excuse that it's easier to push people into a rig with no experience, pay them less, and expect them to do the same job. I want people to feel like it's almost necessary to stand up to the crony capitalists that run these corporations and get the message through. Safety first, industry first, and lives matter. Truckers' lives matter. And in this case, everybody from government bureaucrats to corporate leaders have torn us new ones. They've made us look like the bad guys. And they fortified that position by throwing a bunch of foreign people in through CDL mills with no training and no idea how to do the job. And we are sitting here picking up the emotional pieces after the fact. Trump, you ran on a mission to make America great again. Sean, you ran on a mission to clean up the DOT. Got a good start, my guys. You're doing well. You're doing well, but I think you need to speed the process up. People remember not what you say. They remember how you make them feel. Remember my words. Here today and every day, we're breaking stories down. We're cutting through the noise. We're giving you guys what you need to know about to make trucking great again. Hit that button down below, become a subscriber. Join me in looking at the leaders in this country and say, enough's enough. Help me send that message. Share this video. Be safe, be courageous, and keep it rolling.